Hey guys, what's up? It's Snake here, and we're playing some more Shadow of the Colossus today. And we've reached the 5th Colossus for my series of boss battles. And this one's going to be a pretty interesting one too. Just like the last one, it's a pretty fun Colossus, a pretty simple one too. But the fun and interesting thing about him is he's actually going to be our first flying Colossus, the first aerial one that we encounter. And there's a couple ones that fly, there's some that swim, some that burrow in the ground. There's all different kinds. But my favorite, I think, honestly, have to be the flying one. So this guy here is one of the better Colossi, I think, to battle. And to start out, just like in the last video, you're going to head west from the shrine. But instead of heading down the same canyon as the 4th Colossus, you're actually going to hang a little bit to the left and go along the ridge, which is going to take you over to this open water area where you see a bunch of ruins that have all been submerged. So you're going to go ahead and jump in the water and swim out, and there's actually going to be a doorway that you can see that's submerged under the water. You swim under there, and you come up on these ledges that you're going to climb up on top and run out, which is going to take you into the cutscene to introduce the Colossus. And it's going to show us right here we got a giant bird to deal with. So obviously the main concern would be falling, except for the fact that underneath him is a whole bunch of water. So we don't really have to worry about dying in case we fall off his back. But the big question is, how do we get to his back in the first place? How do we get on him? How do we get him to come to us? So that's going to be the main problem that we're going to deal with real quick. The first thing you're going to do, as soon as the cutscene ends, obviously you want to jump off down into the water, and we have to find something to stand on. So if we head off to the right, like forward and to the right, you're going to see these 3 pillars off in the distance. They're actually a little bit easier to see when you're under the water at first, but once you get closer, you'll obviously see the tops right there. And there's 3 of them, like I said, but the one you're going to want to head for is the middle one, because the other 3 don't give you, the other 2 I should say, don't give you an opportunity to get on top of the bird. So once you get there to the middle one, you want to pull out the bow and arrow and get the guy's attention. And when he starts coming to you, you're going to want to time this just right to make sure you don't get hit back into the water. But you got to jump up and grab R1 to get onto his shoulder hair. And then once you're up there, you just go ahead and get to the right side over there. We got a weak point right there on the edge of his wing. Every time you stab him, he's going to do a big twirl around. So you got to make sure that you have enough stamina to hang on for a full rotation before you have to be able to stand back up and regain some of that stamina. Now, if you're not hitting him at all, he will fly flat, which gives you an opportunity to gain some of that stamina back without necessarily having to go to his shoulder or the back of his, the back tail or anything like that. So you can kind of hang on the wing a bit. You just got to make sure that you're not stabbing him, or else he will start to flap and loop around. Now, obviously, we got those 2 weak points on either side of his wing. And then the 3rd weak point is going to be all the way at the end of his tail at the very back end. Now this one is not unique in the sense that he only has 3 weak points, and they're the same in both normal and hard mode. There's a few other Colossi that also have the same amount of weak points in both hard and normal mode. This just happens to be the first one that we encounter. Now the tail is actually the simplest part of this whole thing. Like I said, this Colossus is a pretty easy one. And in fact, the tail, there's no way for him to defend himself. He can't flap the tail. Even if he spins around, the tail doesn't make that much movement, so it's not really that difficult to bring him down once you've gotten to that point. And then after that, obviously, he's just going to fall into the water, and you just kind of have to twiddle your thumbs for a little bit while you swim around and wait for the black tendrils or tentacles or whatever the hell they are to come up and get you, because obviously he's falling down much further away from you and sinking to the bottom of this lake. But yeah, that's pretty much it. They finally do catch up with you, and that's going to be it. You're going to disappear, and you're going to get ready for the 5th or 6th Colossus, excuse me. So until then, peace out, guys.